I'm thinking director. Yep, that's what I want to do.
How much does a producer make?
Did you go to school? What did you study?
What's the best part about your job?
How do I get in?
Who do I need to know?
Welcome to 101, a podcast for young women interested in careers in film and TV.
We'll sit down with industry professionals, ask them your questions, and get the answers you need to know.
101. It's a beginning.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to 101. It's a beginning. Kate and I are so excited to be here with Lisa D'Apolito.
Hey, it's so great to be with you guys.
You too.
So nice to have you.
Yeah. Can you sort of tell us what your title is? What do you do?
I guess you can say filmmaker, puts everything into it. I started out as an actress, and then I really was a producer, and now I'm a director producer. So I would say filmmaker seems to be the category that works best for me, not editor. That one's not. That is like a whole, that's like the most honored person title, I think, to have.
Lisa, are you trying to butter up Meredith? Because Meredith's an editor.
Oh no, I didn't even know. No, I'm just working on a film now, and I'm just blown away by my editor.
Meredith, the way like editors' brains work, and they just retain all of these different things and reimagine things. I agree, Lisa. It's a pretty amazing talent to have.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to Andrea, who's my editor. How do you remember all this?
There's a lot of pieces that you kind of have to remember. And it's just when you find that connection with an editor and you want to work with them again and again, that's like the best relationship to have. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of walk us through maybe what projects you're working on or what you've done in the past and to what capacity?
So my background really is in advertising and commercials, but over the years, I did many nonprofit videos and long form documentaries for different nonprofit organizations. So that's kind of like my background. I fell into this film, Love Gilda, about the comedian Gilda Radner, because I was volunteering at Gilda's Club, which is a place that was in New York City, founded by Gene Wilder and Gilda's family in honor of Gilda, who had died of cancer. And the organization helped people who were going through cancer. So I started doing nonprofit videos for them and interviewing the members, and they would talk about Gilda. Like there was such a bond to her story. And I was like, wow, she's really like, people think of her as this great comedian, but she really has a story that goes beyond her legacy as a comedian. So I kind of fell into that, and it just expanded. And I didn't really set out to make a documentary, but the story started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I just got more excited about it. And it took a couple years to do, but I had a lot of support from her family and friends, which really helped move it along. So that was kind of where I really got the like, oh my God, I want to tell stories. And I think what I really love is I love comedians. I love female comedians. And now I'm in post-production on a film about Shari Lewis and Lamb Chop. So whereas Shari is different than Gilda, Lamb Chop is very Gilda-ish. Like Lamb Chop is this beloved puppet who was like beloved in the late 50s and early 60s, and then came back in the 90s for a whole new generation of children.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's been fun. These are both great women to spend your years with. As you guys know, it takes years to make these things. And we should have a film by the end of the year. So that's very exciting.
Woo!
Yeah.
Good news.
That's another doc?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And you never know where the story will turn when you're making a documentary.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's congratulations. That's great.
Thanks.
I just have to know, because you choose these two iconic women for these stories. Was it just happenstance? I know you kind of give us a background on how you came to, how Gilda's story kind of came to you. What about Shari's story and Lamb Chop's story? Did that just kind of come to you, or did you seek it out?
It wasn't my idea, though. I'm searching, and I'm still searching for, those untold stories of female artists who maybe are known for one thing, but are so much bigger than what they are. So that kind of a producer met Mallory Lewis, who is Shari's daughter, who still does Lamb Chop, which is really interesting. And that producer met her and then came to me and said, would you be interested? And I didn't really remember. I mean, of course, I knew Shari Lewis and Lamb Chop. I didn't really remember. I was kind of in between the two shows. And something about, I was like, lamb chop, like the same thing, like I felt with Gilda, like there was something that just touched me. So that's kind of how that project evolved. It just seemed like the right, and right now it seems like the right fit for me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the stories that I like to tell have a inspirational, that they're fun. There's a fun factor to it.
Yeah, for sure. So what we like to do for our listeners, we like to kind of give them a basic understanding of what their days are like. So if you had to kind of define your role as a filmmaker, like how would you define that role?
I guess it depends on the period that the film is in, right? So there's like the development period. And I love archives. So I really go into like days, months, weeks, nonstop, night and day, digging deeper and trying to figure out who this person is. So my process is kind of very character driven in the sense of I want to know who Shari is. The archival tells the story because I realized this with Love Gilda too. When you interview people about somebody, it's really their perspective. But if you can find the archival that's in the moment, then you get something different. It was different on Love Gilda because it was just me. It was just me as a single filmmaker almost till the end. But in this case, I have a producer, a writer, a team to kind of bounce off of ideas. And then the next step is to, really interview the people in Shari's life and try to figure out, who are the people that would be good on camera or who can lead you to something. Because I'm always like, do you have any home movies? Do you have any photos? Do you have any letters? Do you have any? Because I think those are the things that like I love. And when you find them, it's like hitting the jackpot. Like it tells you more than anything. In terms of Gilda was very open, and I was able to she left behind audio tapes that she recorded for her book. So in some ways it was easier to get right into Gilda and who she was. Shari's a little different because she didn't really leave behind those things. So it was talking to a lot of different people to get an idea of who she was and how the story would be structured. So that's in that period, that's like the pre-production. And then the production, finding the people, trying to get them on board. Not everybody wants to talk about people. And then some people want to talk and you don't really, maybe they're not right for the story. So that's always difficult too. In this film, I wanted to do something different with the interviews. And it was all inspired from the first shoot I had, which was at Shari Lewis's sister's house, Barbara, which was like this just amazing house filled with all kinds of magical things in it. And magic is a big theme in the film. So one of the things was to find locations that kind of went with this magical feeling. So that was kind of that period of time of what my days would be like. And then it's really finding the right editor, which takes months because editors are always busy and booked, and finding the right person, that you feel could tell the story that you want to tell, then giving her the period of time to really delve into the material. And with Andrea, my editor, we have a lot of conversations, but she was working away for months and I really didn't know what she was doing. And sometimes she would describe some things to me and I was like, oh, I don't understand. And then when I saw what she did, it was like amazing. So basically we have like a little more than an assembly of the film. So what I'm doing now is working with her and working on my own to dig back into the interviews, dig back into the archival, dig back into reinforcing this story. So each day is different. It takes years to make a film, to make a good film, I think. I mean, there's good films, I'm sure, that are made in a year, but it takes a long time to really get the story.
And to know what questions to ask your interviewees to kind of like pull out that information that you're looking for to be able to give the arc of the story. It's very difficult and very rewarding at the same time.
It's like I'm always disappointed with my first interviews because when you go back, you've learned so much by the end of your interviews and you're like, why didn't I ask that person that?
Yes, you learn more as you go and you have to go back. You mentioned that when you got onto the Love Gilda project, that was sort of like the moment that you knew that you wanted to continue to do this? Was that like the aha moment? And can you sort of describe how that felt?
Originally, I thought, well, I'll do a video for Gilda's Club, and this would be the story. And then Gilda's brother, Michael, allowed me to go through Gilda's stuff in storage. And I had read her book, and she had talked about this home movie that she did in the hospital. And I was like, wow, if I could find that. It's so weird because I couldn't find it. And Gilda's friend Judy was there, and she was going through the boxes, and she's like, is this what you're looking for? And it was like Gilda's cancer video. And I was like, I took it on the plane back to New York, and I was like, I don't know what's on it. I put it in my machine. I saw Gilda like with all her hair gone and in her hospital gown, and I rushed to like a tape house, and I wouldn't let them transfer. I wouldn't leave it there. Like, and then I was like, oh my God, this is a move. Like, this is the moment. Like, this is really something. That was the moment for me that took it from being just a nonprofit project to really being like, wow, this is a film.
I got goosebumps.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Though I
Yeah.
didn't know how to raise the money to make a film. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's one of your questions, but that is the biggest thing. Like, oh, you have this great idea and this great story, and then you're like, oh no, it takes a lot of money to make this.
Would you say that that's like the most difficult part of your job, or can you tell us what you think is the most difficult?
Raising the money for a film is difficult. I think for everyone's first film is difficult. Second film too, I think maybe all films, because I have some other projects that are struggling to get financing. So I think that's the hardest thing. And I think it takes a lot more money to make a documentary than people realize.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can you sort of tell us what has been the most successful as far as how to raise money?
Gilda's family and friends help me a lot. So I think if you have people who really care about the subject of your film,
Yeah.
who have those resources, I think that's the number one person who's going to help you. Somebody who really cares about making this film happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like friends and family are great, and they'll help you sort of get to that first tier level, but then you really need to find the niche, the people that really gravitate towards that type of project.
Yeah, and I did for Love Guild, I did a lot of pitches. I entered a lot of grants. I went to anything that I could, meet people. And in that film, I still worked advertising jobs, and then I would invest my own money also in the film that way. So that's
how I made my first one.
Almost,
Yeah. Did you study advertising in school, or what did you go to school for?
I went to school for acting. So I was an actress. So that's really my background. And then I fell into advertising as getting a real job. And I fell in the production because I had an experience as an actress. I knew production pretty well. So I studied acting, which I realize is coming in handy with the kind of films I'm doing right now, because I'm really sort of merging myself in character. And I also see movies that actors direct, I think are really good. I think actors make really good, especially in the feature world. I think they make really good directors.
We talked about what the hardest part of your job is. What is the best part of your job?
There's a couple. I love interviewing people, which I'm sure you guys do since you do it. Like, it's fun to talk to people and ask them questions that you normally wouldn't ask in real life. So I love the interview process. I love when it's a rough cut, when the film is really like a rough cut. I like that. Like, you're going to have a film. And then of course, showing your film is and going to a party is pretty good.
Celebrating all of that hard work.
Yeah.
Hard work.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned that you as you were starting as an actor, you had a job, like a traditional job. There are so many creatives that have to navigate two worlds. How do you think that was additive to you as a creative? Because it seems like it has been.
I think as a producer, for producer skills, it's great to be able to have to manage several things at the same time. Like being a parent, a mother is pretty good producing skills too. Like, there's certain things that like add to that. I think people who have a really good side, whatever they call it, side hustle or side job, I think is good to have things that you're not so dependent on making money from your industry.
Yeah, because I've done the same, and I started out as an actress as well, and over the years I've met so many people, and like I found that it like adds to your creativity, but it also adds to your network. Like you meet people that you wouldn't normally meet in the creative world. So, that's been my experience as well. But I don't think that there's anything wrong with having a side hustle.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you think that needs to change in this industry, and how we could change it?
I don't know. I mean, it seems there's so many great nonprofit groups that are that fund really important social issue films that I think are doing a great job out there. It's really hard to get a film made that doesn't have a sort of really important meaning in the world. Getting funding from that is really difficult, like getting grants for, like a Shari Lewis and Lamb Chop doc isn't going to change the world, but it might make people happy. I don't know. I think there should be more opportunities, like funders, networks. They don't really want to take a chance on people they don't know. And that was a little problem I had with Love Gilda, is that no one wanted to really take a chance on me when it was just me. But I kept going until I built it up to, I had like a killer trailer. I got these well-known actresses in it. Then people could see, okay, this is what she's doing. So I'm not sure what the answer is there. I think pitches are great, opportunities where it's open, like kind of an open mic or open film, kind of the more networks and more grantors and more foundations that could do that. I think that would be good.
Nice. You mentioned that you had a trailer for Love Gilda. Is it better to sort of have some footage under your belt and like shoot, and so that you have something to show for the investors other than just like a deck or a packet showing what you're thinking about?
For me, I think definitely. I think once you have something where you can show people, probably the most important part is getting the seed money to put together a pitch trailer. That's good, I think, because with Shari, there was an investor who invested in the trailer, and once people saw the trailer, they loved the story. We Love Gilda. I had trailer, but it wasn't that strong. Once I got celebrities in it, people were like, "Oh, yeah." So I think it's like if you can show your stuff, that's I think in the talking about documentaries, because everything is so abstract otherwise.
Yeah, no, that's helpful. Thank you.
So just to kind of dive in a little bit deeper with that, if you are putting something together on your own just to show people, as far as just like getting permissions and things like that, it shouldn't be a problem because you're not airing it or anything like that. Just for our listeners, like if you're just trying to give people an idea of what you're thinking, like what are the parameters for those kinds of things?
Well, first of all, you do need permission from whoever the story is about, or what the story is. So that you need to have like permission about, because everyone's like, what's your access? What's so you do need permission from whoever it is. That is an important release. In terms of everything else, I don't know. I'm it's hard to give legal advice because I'm sure lawyers would say different things. But I think if you're just showing something to somebody and you're not putting it online, and you make it clear that, this is unlicensed footage, there will be licensing involved. I think that's okay. I think putting it on, once you put it on like Instagram or Facebook, like you can't do that because that's wrong. But if you're showing it to somebody, I think it's okay.
Okay.
But you also have to know that you will be able to get permissions. You think you're going to be able to get permissions for whatever those things are.
So what is the best advice that you've either gotten or the best advice you can give the young women listening to us right now, just about life, about filmmaking?
Well, I love to watch other people's films, especially like biodocs. I try to watch everyone that I can to see how people are telling their stories. I think that's very inspiring. I think it's a good way to learn filmmaking also, is to watch other people. I think for young filmmakers, do labs, participate in whatever conferences, like the Gotham in New York, just meet filmmakers, just go out, watch filmmakers, meet filmmakers. So inspiring to take, like I've taken labs at like different places and to meet other filmmakers and to see how they're telling their stories. So I think, and then you get feedback from them. So I think it's a community that is really important to tap into, and that helps you grow. And then it seems like the people who I met are growing with me at the same, we're all kind of growing at the same time. I think that's the is to really take advantage. Every city has, a lot of cities have different places. There's the D Word, which is on, I don't know if you guys know the D Word. It's a documentary online organization that's amazing. It's like D-word. People post things every day, and it's a great resource. Like if you're looking for, and I use resources all the time. Film Fatalis, like organization, it's great for female filmmakers. I always post something on there when I'm looking for anything, a lawyer, a location. So I would say build your network and use your network. Keep growing as you grow, because filmmaking, changes so fast. Cameras change really fast. Everything changes fast. Even the style of filmmaking changes fast.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So our last question for you, and this might be the hardest.
Okay.
Do you have any directors or films that sort of shaped your work or inspired you in any way, either growing up or more recently?
Well, growing up, I love the old classics. Like I love Vivian Leigh and Katharine Hepburn. I love the great actresses. Like those are always my inspiration. Betty Davis, like those kind of movies. I've always I just love those movies. I'm Not Your Negro by Raoul Peck, I think is an amazing, amazing film. I like Stanley Nelson's films, Julie Cohen and Betsy West films. They did RBG. So there's a lot of filmmakers that I look forward to their film and how they tell their story. So those I think are my favorites right now, though there's a lot of films that come up that I like, but those are my favorites. And then I love just watching, regular movies and taking a break from the documentary world too.
Nice. We're going to add some of those films up to our website.
And for the resources, we want our listeners to be able to visit our website and find whatever resources that our guests find helpful, and whatever has been helpful to us. So, that's our goal, just to encourage young women to go for jobs and pursue jobs in this industry. So we're looking forward to expanding and growing and reaching more young women.
What are you guys working on?
As an editor right now, I'm waiting, hopefully going to start this feature comedy, but yeah, just helping out various friends with their projects right now. Kate, what are you up to?
I'm in the early stages of optioning a short play to develop into a narrative, which is really new territory for me. Anything that I've ever written has always been just from my brain. So a couple months ago, I guess, I came across a short play and I was I love this. This is a story about two strong women, and I know it should be more. So I just reached out and I'm I need help. Can you tell me to writer friends? And they're this is what you have to do. And so that's one of the things I'm working on. Obviously, we're working on 101. We're hoping to expand to some more listeners and to connect with some more organizations that we can share these amazing interviews with. Meredith and I were looking at just some of the statistics of women in the industry, and we're yeah, it's moving, but it's just we could do a little bit better with the numbers. So that's kind of what our goal is.
And it's very hard for women as you get older too.
Yeah.
Ageism is very rampant. Yeah. Part of the Shari Lewis story too is that she just kept going until she had a show when she's in her 60s. Well, I think it's great what you guys are doing.
Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today. We had a wonderful time just learning about your process. And if you have not seen Love, Gilda, watch it. It is such an extraordinary piece. I enjoyed it. I said to Lisa earlier today, it stayed with me for days. I knew about Gilda, but it was just such a wonderfully told story. And that's a credit to you, Lisa. So if you want to learn, watch the movie, because you did such an extraordinary job.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
Thank you for joining us today. I know our listeners learned a ton, and this is 101. Thanks for listening.